Road of the Cursed Lake. Chapter 4. Echoes of the Past. Part 2. I was in the mist before I knew it, leaving the library behind me, pages pressed against my chest, like they might escape or sink into my heart. The evening air was heavy with half-light and clouded breath. It licked my skin with a familiar, sorrowed dampness. I headed toward the inn, toward some imagined warmth. Its door opened with a groan like an old man's bones, as though the place itself were in on the secret. Inside, the room lay dim and watchful, the fire the only eye that dared to blink. Voices, softened and stale, fell to a hush when I entered. Evelyn Blackwood found me shivering and distraught and almost smiled. Without a word, she pressed a small glass into my hands, a dark herbal draught, thick with honey and something more elusive. "It helps," she murmured, and I drank before I could question it. The warmth hid too fast, too deep, unfurling through my chest and curling behind my eyes. Her voice when she spoke braided into Anna's, into mine, into a dream from which I could not wake. The fire unwound inside of me, and the pages fell to my lap as though they were just one more tired and fading soul. I sunk into a heavy wooden chair that breathed its dust into my skin. The locals returned to their whispers, their voices a litany that carried a name I could almost hear. I felt their eyes, more haunting than curious, as though they had seen too much, as though they'd always known what I was just beginning to learn. Evelyn looked me over with concern that felt practiced, like she'd read my disquiet in an ancient book. "You look worn down to the marrow," she said, her voice maternal and matter-of-fact, carrying the lilt of the old village tongue. "A seat by the fire is what you need, and something warm inside you." The way she spoke left no space for refusal. She steered me gently toward the hearth, her hand a brief weight between my shoulder blades, steady and knowing. I dropped into the nearest chair, still holding the half-drained glass, the sweetness of its contents burning slow and strange inside my throat. The fire at my side crackled without warmth, casting the room in restless, uncertain light. Evelyn lingered for a moment longer, watching to make sure I stayed where I was, as if the seat had been chosen for me long before I walked through the door. I cradled the mug in my hands, the heat barely reaching me, the aroma strange and unsettling. She called it tea. She called it something for troubled thoughts, for minds not at ease. The liquid inside was too dark, too sweet, too much like night. It wrapped my throat in soft but suffocating hands. Evelyn watched me swallow, her eyes ancient and aware, and I could tell that she knew the taste, that she'd made this potion before. "Yes," she said, "it's better, isn't it?" Her voice faltered, but held together. The comfort of fire, of not being alone. some find that helps the most. I nodded, unsure, unconvinced. It felt like the air around me shuddered, settled, held its breath. The decor of the inn shifted with the light, with the tea, with my thoughts. Dark beams loomed above, creaking with the sound of everything long buried. They sagged like secrets under their own weight. Mirrors on the walls reflected the distant surface of the lake, like the water had moved inside, like it watched from every corner. Carved swans stared from unexpected places, their wooden faces too solemn, too knowing. Even the table at my elbow had swans etched along its edges, their bodies entwined, forever caught. I ran a finger along one and felt it twitch beneath my touch, felt it breathe. "Any better, dear?" Evelyn asked again, her voice soft, steady. But for a moment, in the haze of the room and the sweet fog of the drink, I could have sworn it wasn't her voice at all. The words came out of me as though someone else were speaking. "The library," I said. It wasn't what I thought. It was... I trailed off, unsure if I should say more. "I imagine so," Evelyn replied, and something shadowed her words. "The librarian keeps his secrets. It's an art in this village." She smiled, but her smile was smoke. I leaned forward, the mug cradled tight, the fire turning to the shape of wings. "There are more than just stories, more than just legends." My voice climbed like it always did. I found a pattern. Her eyes did not widen. Her mouth did not fall open in surprise. It was as though she had been waiting to hear it, waiting forever. "Some patterns," she said gently, "are best left to themselves." Her calm shook me. I spoke louder, faster, like I could fill the silence with my own undoing. "It's the lunar cycle, the disappearances. They're connected to the phases of the moon. How is it possible? How?" I stopped, aware that I was talking to myself as much as to her. Evelyn listened with the patience of old stone. Her hands moved over the wood of the table like a weaver's, working invisible threads into a cruel tapestry. "The moon keeps many secrets," she said softly, and her voice was like song. "But the heart of this place is the lake." Her eyes turned and I felt myself following. Old stories speak of women who find their true forms and men who become guardians of grief. Her words stayed calm, gentle in their cruelty, like truths no one dares to name. You could say it is a matter of what one lets go and what one cannot. The flames swam and shuddered, turning the room into something unstable, unreal. And Anna, my voice barely held the weight of her name. Evelyn did not blink. She remained still, unflinching, as if she'd heard the question 1,000 times before. She leaned close, close enough that I could see my reflection in her eyes, see that it was not mine. The lake takes only those who already belong to it, she said. The water knows its own. My heart thudded with slow, creeping realization. I stood too quickly, sending the chair backward, sending the locals into hushed alarm. Evelyn's face did not change. I could not look at her. I could not look at anyone. The tea had made a fire inside of me, and it burned with a terrible, unending heat. I stumbled out the door, into the mist, into the suffocating dark,